3:42 a.m. San Diego, California. Federal agents surround a compound disguised as a luxury estate. Inside, 2 rogue FBI veterans running a billion-dollar drug empire. Outside, 300 tactical operators. Preparing for the deadliest raid in West Coast history. What you're about to witness isn't just another drug bust. This is the story of how America's protectors became its predators. How 2 decorated agents spent 28 years earning trust, only to spend the last 4 years destroying it. The gunfire starts in 90 seconds. But the betrayal? That started long before anyone knew to. Look. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll question everything you thought you knew about who's really protecting our streets. Before we dive into this operation, I need to know, are you someone who can handle the truth? Because what federal investigators uncovered in this case will shake your faith in the badge itself. If you're ready for raw, unfiltered stories about the battles happening behind closed doors, the operations that never make the evening news, then you're in the right place. We bring you deep inside America's most shocking federal cases. Real operations. Real consequences. Zero sugarcoating. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the stories we cover don't stay in the headlines long, but they need to be heard. Now, let's get into it. The setup. San Diego's coastal hills. Where tech executives and retired surgeons live behind iron gates and security cameras. Where a $4.3 million estate sits at the end of a private cul-de-sac. Surrounded by 12-foot walls and motion-activated floodlights. To neighbors, it looked like security. To federal analysts, it looked like preparation. Meet Marcus Jabril Hassan, 57. Former FBI special agent. 28 years hunting cartel kingpins along the Southern California corridor. His wife, Amina Khalif, 54, former IC intelligence analyst. Over 280 closed cases. Involving cross-border trafficking and organized crime. Their credentials opened every door. Their reputation silenced every question. And for 4 years, they used both to build something unthinkable. But how did investigators even know to look? It started with patterns. Shipments that should have been intercepted weren't. Warrants that should have been executed vanished. Informants who should have been protected disappeared. Then came the breakthrough. A detained cartel courier, facing life in prison, whispered 6 words that changed everything. The protection comes from inside the bureau. Quick question for you, have you ever trusted someone completely, only to find out they were lying the whole time? Drop a comment. I want to hear your story. Because that's exactly what happened here, except on a catastrophic scale. Surveillance begins. FBI's internal affairs didn't want to believe it. You don't just accuse decorated agents without concrete proof. So they watched. Quietly. Carefully. For 11 weeks. Analysts tracked every vehicle entering and leaving the estate. They documented rotations of armed personnel, mercenaries, not security guards. Ex-military contractors from conflict zones. Paid in cash, loyal to no country. Then came the digital forensics. Bank records showing $6.4 million in unexplained deposits over 7 years. Shell companies in Nevada, Delaware, and the Cayman Islands. Wire transfers timed perfectly with port inspection schedules. But the smoking gun? Encrypted messages recovered from a seized cartel phone. Route clear. Inspection delayed until 0600. Move tonight. The message was sent from a device registered to Marcus Hassan's personal account. Investigators cross-referenced timestamps. In 68% of failed interdiction operations over 3 years. Internal access points traced back to systems Hassan and Khalif had clearance to use. They weren't just corrupt. They were the architect and the gatekeeper of a billion-dollar highway running straight through federal defenses. Here's what blows my mind, and I want your take on this. How does someone spend nearly 3 decades fighting crime, only to become the very thing they swore to destroy? Is it greed? Burnout? Or something darker? Let me know what you think in the comments. The underground network. The deeper agents dug, the worse it got. Beneath the mansion. Engineers discovered something during a property records review and unregistered basement renovation from 2019. No permits. No inspections. Just a $340,000 cash payment to a contractor who vanished. 2 months after the job was done. Infrared scans confirmed it, a subterranean corridor stretching nearly 50 yards, connecting the main house to a detached garage at the property's edge. The perfect smuggling route. Intelligence estimates suggested the operation moved 1.7 metric tons of heroin and fentanyl annually, street value exceeding $890 million. All of it flowing through California's ports and highways under the protection of 2 people who had once been entrusted with stopping it. The human cost? Devastating. Counties along the compromised route saw overdose deaths surge by 34% during the same period. Thousands of families destroyed. Entire communities gutted by addiction. And through it all, Hassan and Khalif continued showing up to work. Accepting awards. Mentoring younger agents. The betrayal wasn't just criminal, it was intimate. Breach protocol. At 3:42 a.m. on November 8, 2024, Operation Iron Wall commenced. Federal Command deployed 310 personnel, FBI tactical units, ICE Homeland Security Investigations, DEA Strike Force, and San Diego County SWAT. The objective wasn't just arrest, it was survival. Because everyone knew, the people inside weren't going quietly. Infrared drones confirmed 9 heat signatures inside the compound. 3 on perimeter patrol. 2 stationed at elevated positions. The rest mobile, armed, alert. At 3:51 a.m., the call went out. All units, green light. Execute. First contact. The entry team hit the front gate with a hydraulic ram. It took 4 strikes. By the third, muzzle flashes erupted from the second-floor balcony. Automatic weapons fire shredded the night. Rounds tore through vehicle armor and concrete barriers. FBI tactical units returned fire, suppressing the shooters with precision bursts. Flashbangs detonated. Smoke grenades filled the courtyard. Through the chaos, a second team breached the eastern wing using explosive charges. The mercenaries inside weren't panicking, they were executing a defensive plan. Overlapping fields of fire. Controlled retreats. Professional discipline. This wasn't a gang. This was a private army. And here's what I need to know from you: when you hear about stories like this, do you feel safer knowing these operations happen? Or does it terrify you that threats like this exist in the first place? Honest answers only, drop them below. Breach and clear. The firefight lasted 11 minutes and 54 seconds. 17 mercenaries engaged. 8 wounded. 3 killed in the exchange. Federal agents suffered 4 injuries, none life-threatening. By 4:03 a.m., the compound was secure. But the mission had just begun. The discovery. As agents swept the main level, a K9 unit alerted near the kitchen. Officers found the hidden entrance, a motorized panel concealed behind custom cabinetry. The stairwell descended into darkness. At the bottom, the corridor opened into 3 reinforced rooms. The first was a narcotics warehouse, industrial shelving stacked with vacuum-sealed bricks of heroin, fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine. Estimated weight, 1.4 tons. The second room was an armory. Over 190 rifles. Tactical gear. Night vision optics. Enough firepower to outfit a small militia. The third room was the most disturbing, a forged identity lab. Computers. Printers. Blank passports. Boxes of photos and fingerprints, evidence of a human trafficking pipeline moving people across borders using falsified documents. On a desk, agents found a handwritten ledger. 12 names. All officials. Each with a notation: inspection supervisor, customs coordinator, evidence clerk. The network wasn't just protected from the inside. It was built by insiders. The arrests. At 6:04 a.m., federal marshals formally arrested Marcus Jibril Hassan and Amina Khalif. The charges: conspiracy to distribute narcotics, racketeering, money laundering, obstruction of justice, conspiracy with a transnational criminal organization. Combined sentencing exposure, 175 years to life. Within hours, the FBI launched parallel raids across 4 states. By week's end, 520 additional arrests were made. $387 million in assets frozen. The entire network collapsed. The fallout. For the FBI, the damage was institutional. Trust, once given freely, now required proof. Internal review boards were expanded. Financial disclosure requirements tightened. Oversight mechanisms rebuilt from the ground up. For the communities impacted, the response was cautious relief. In the 6 months following the takedown, overdose deaths in affected counties dropped by 28%. Emergency room visits declined. Families began to breathe again. But for those who lost loved ones, during the years the network operated, no sentence could restore what was taken. One mother, testifying at a pretrial hearing, said it plainest. "My son didn't die because of a drug dealer. He died because the people sworn to protect him sold him out instead." Let me ask you this, do you believe the system can truly reform after a betrayal this deep? Or is this just one case of many we'll never hear about? Your perspective matters, share it below, because these conversations are how we hold power accountable. This case doesn't end with arrests. It ends with a question every American should be asking. Who watches the watchman? For 28 years, Marcus Hassan and Amina Khalif earned the trust of a nation. They wore the badge. They took the oath. And they used every ounce of that authority to profit from human suffering. But here's the important part, the system didn't ignore it. When the evidence surfaced, the response was swift, thorough, and uncompromising. Justice didn't arrive because the system is perfect. It arrived because people refused to look away. The fortress is gone. The network is broken. And the communities once trapped in its shadow are beginning to heal. But the work isn't finished. Because for every case like this that gets exposed, we have to ask, how many others are still operating in the shadows? That's why this channel exists. To shine a light on the operations most people never hear about. To tell the stories that matter, even when they're uncomfortable. If you found this story valuable, if it made you think, question, or feel something, do me a favor, subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with someone who needs to see it. And before you go, tell me, what case should we investigate next? What story are you dying to hear? Drop your suggestions in the comments. I read every single one. The truth doesn't hide here. Stay vigilant. Stay informed. And I'll see you in the next investigation.